Welcome back to Offsides, BUTV10's only professional sports talk show. I'm Eric Pepe.
And I'm Mira Patel. To start off our episode, Allison, DeWitt, and Jack Hughes will give their hot takes on the current NHL season.
Then, host Dinh-Price will speak with analysts Raph Bruni and Charlie DeMatteo as they go head-to-head with an MLB free agency shot clock.
And finally, Tyler Johnson will discuss the tragedy of the late Adam Johnson and the debate of neck guard use in the NHL.
All this and more. Offside starts right now.
Well, we're a few weeks into the NHL season, and teams are still looking to make their marks. I'm Jack Hughes alongside Allison DeWitt, and today we're here to discuss which teams are on fire and which are ice cold. Allison, the Boston Bruins are my hot team right now. The Beast did not face very high expectations going into this season. The talk of the town was they had their shot at a last dance in the 22-23 season with an aging core, and they blew it in round one. Everyone said they're too old and we're anticipating a significant backslide. And yet, Boston has been proving everyone wrong. Not only have they not sunk, they're not even just treading water. They're still swimming full steam ahead to a top spot in the Atlantic Division. The goalie tandem of Jeremy Swayman and Linus Ullmark is still rock solid, with Swayman in particular really coming into his own. And David Pastrnak is on pace for his best scoring season yet, which has taken a fair bit of pressure off of aging pieces like Brad Marchand and James Van Riemsdyk. Have their wins been particularly convincing? No. Has their schedule been the most difficult in the NHL? Not really. But wins are wins, and they do have some over-competitive teams like Dallas and the New York Islanders as of late. Despite what was said last year, I'm looking at the Bruins to keep on dancing as we move through this season. What do you think, Allison?
You know, Jack, you've made a fair argument here. I'm excited to see how the season plays out for the Bruins. However, if we're discussing hots here, I have to go with the number one team in the league right now, the Vegas Golden Knights. They've had quite the start to the season, Jack, with 12 wins and just 3 losses so far. Their first regulation loss came in Anaheim on November 5th, which for sure put a sour taste in their mouths on their Southern California trip. Adding fuel to their Southern California bitterness, they came back to Vegas to face the Los Angeles Kings, only to fall to them 4-1. But the team bounced back with a vengeance against this Californian curse, beating the last-place San Jose Sharks 5-0 on November 10th. Powerhouse defenseman Alec Martinez reached the back of the net twice that game, with Alex Pietrangelo and William Karlsson also adding to the point tally. Before this game, Martinez had only scored once this season, but his time was coming, with coach Bruce Cassidy saying he tries to take care of his own end first, and it's true. Martinez really cleans house on defense, recording 244 block shots last season and is on pace for even more this year. I personally think he'd kill the "You Ladies All Right" challenge if he was put to the test. Looking ahead, the Knights will face a few teams who sit solidly in the middle of the league standings. Collecting more points in these games will only help the team remain on top. And I don't doubt their ability to stay there for a while. Jack, what are your thoughts?
So absolutely some solid points there, Allison. Call me biased, I still like the Bruins more. On the other side of things, you mentioned the San Jose Sharks, a team that, apologies to Dinh-Price, is having one of the most egregiously terrible starts we've seen in years, literally since the 1960s. Wow, Jack, what a hot take. I know, I'm beating a dead horse. No, I'm not just beating a dead horse, I'm hitting it with a full-on Chuck Norris roundhouse kick. I understand. Counterpoint, I can't help myself. All right, the Sharks entered their home stadium on November 2nd against the Vancouver Canucks and got absolutely mollywopped, 10-1. Now, they improved in their next game 2 days later against the Penguins and scored twice, but they still got smoked by a score of 10-2. But hey, improvement is improvement. Speaking of 2, that's how many wins they have through 14 games. Their point differential is already nearing -50. No other team has one worse than -20. I'd say they're at least winning the Macklin Celebrini sweepstakes, but I'm not sure even he could save this sad, sad Sharks team. Anything to say, Allison?
Well, you know, Jack, the Sharks have definitely had quite a rough start to the season. I completely agree with that. But for my cold take, I have to go with the New Jersey Devils. You know, they had a pretty good start to the season with some solid wins under their belt. They knocked the preseason out of the park, or should I say the glass, winning all of those games. But with recent injuries, especially the one to Jack Hughes a few weeks ago.
Well, wait a minute. How do you know about that? I didn't tell you my hip was hurting. Oh, you mean that guy? Yes, that makes way more sense. Sorry, carry on.
Yes, the other Jack Hughes. Anyways, Jack Hughes of the Devils sustained an upper body injury in a recent 4-1 loss to the St. Louis Blues. And along with his injury, 3 other players on the team, Nico Hischier, Tomas Nosek, and Colin Miller, have all been sidelined with injuries as of late. With so many key players down for the count, the near future of this team is looking uncertain. Will they be able to adjust and rise to the occasion? We'll just have to wait and see. Well, that's all the time we have today for Hot or Not. Next time we're on this segment, we'll discuss all things Jimmy G.
Hey, let's not get too far ahead of ourselves here, Allison. Let's throw it over to Henry, Charlie, and Raph for an MLB free agency shot clock.
Welcome to the 2023 Offsides MLB free agency shot clock. I'm your host, Henry Dinh-Price, joined by Charlie DeMatteo and Raph Bruni to debate their takes on the biggest stories from this upcoming free agency. Charlie and Raph, you'll have 25 seconds in each round to make your case. After each round, I'll award a point to whoever had the more convincing argument. At the end of 5 rounds, a winner will be crowned the shot clock champion and will have eternal bragging rights. Now let's get started. Question 1. What is the best landing spot for Shohei Ohtani this offseason?
Shohei Ohtani's free agency decision will arguably be the biggest in the history of the sport, and there's only one place he should be taking his talents. That is Citi Field with the New York Mets. Owner Steve Cohen has shown he will do whatever it takes to bring a World Series to New York. Having Ohtani alongside Japanese ace Kodai Senga, as well as the star power in the Mets lineup, sets the Amazins up to be contenders for the foreseeable future. Shohei, welcome to the Big Apple.
My prediction is that Ohtani is going to go to the Chicago Cubs. I feel like the Cubs have rekindled a winning culture led by their new manager, Craig Counsell, who they signed to a 5-year deal. And the front office is not scared to splash money, as shown by the 7-year, $177 million contract they gave to Dansby Swanson. On top of that, the Cubs are such a historic team. I feel like Ohtani would love to leave his legacy on one of the most iconic franchises in MLB history.
I've got to give this to Charlie. The Mets have shown that they are willing to spend, and Shohei in the big New York market just makes sense. Already having Ohtani's friend Kodai Senga on the roster could also help draw him to Queens. Now for question 2, who is the best pitcher available on the market this free agency?
Blake Snell is coming off an absolutely dominant Cy Young year, and he is without question the best starting pitcher on the market. Over 230 strikeouts and a 2.25 ERA on a bad San Diego team, Snell is going to get paid this offseason, and you can't argue with it. With a unique delivery and straight-up nasty snuff, Snell is a bona fide ace who can spearhead a postseason push for any team. He has to be a priority for any team looking for starting pitching.
I know people are raving about Yoshinobu Yamamoto, but it's always risky taking foreign players since you don't know how they will adapt to the MLB. There's a possibility it could be a bust. So my pick for best free agent pitcher is Marcus Stroman. Stroman had a decent 2023 season for the Cubs. Although in the second half of the season he was derailed by injury, he was excellent in the first half. I tell you, when Stroman is on his A game, there's no stopping him.
This point easily goes to Charlie. The best pitcher in free agency is a toss-up between Snell, a now 2-time Cy Young Award winner, and 25-year-old Yoshinobu Yamamoto, a defending 2-time MVP and 3-time Triple Crown winner in the NPB in Japan. Raph, you picked Stroman, who dealt with injuries in the second half of the season and is not even a top 5 arm in free agency. Do better. Now on to question 3. Should the San Diego Padres consider trading Juan Soto?
The San Diego Padres were a dumpster fire last year with the payroll they had, but Juan Soto was far from the biggest issue on the roster. He got on base at an elite clip, and his power and average began to rise where we know they can be with the Dominican superstar. For me, San Diego has to think about shedding the ridiculous contracts of guys like Jake Cronenworth and Xander Bogaerts before they even think about dealing Juan Soto.
I think the Padres are currently a team without an identity. They have superstar players, but no real leadership to bring them to victory. When a team doesn't succeed, there has to be a scapegoat. And I feel like the scapegoat for this underachieving Padres team is Juan Soto. He's a fun, exciting player to watch, but I feel like the Padres need that mature, veteran leadership to take them out of this slump. I think the Padres should trade him.
I'm giving the point to Raph on this one. Soto only has 2 years left on his contract, and San Diego should look to get a solid return on him now before he becomes a 1-year rental next offseason or signs elsewhere in 2025. The Padres simply don't have the money to pay everyone when they're not winning games. Bogaerts and Machado are under monster contracts for the next 10 seasons, and Tatis has 11 years left on his. With Soto's deal expiring soon, he's unfortunately the one who needs to go. Now for question 4. Cody Bellinger had a bounce-back year last year. Where should the former MVP take his talents?
This one is a no-brainer for me. Bellinger found his stroke again last year, and that short porch in the Bronx has to be calling his name. Yankee Stadium is tailor-made for Bellinger's swing, and the Yankees have been crying out for some offensive firepower to help out Aaron Judge for years. Bringing in Bellinger would show a real sign of intent from Yankees front office under heavy criticism, and they need to get it done. Bellinger and pinstripes just make sense for all parties.
I know that there have been talks of Bellinger either going to the Giants or Yankees, but at the end of the day, I think he's going to stay in Chicago. I feel like last year, the renaissance of Bellinger became a representation of the Cubs' newfound identity. So I believe the Cubs front office will do anything to keep Bellinger playing at Wrigley.
This point goes to Raph. Bellinger had a great season in Chicago, winning Comeback Player of the Year. After reinvigorating his career there, why change it up? Plus, when's the last time the Yankees hit on a big-time free agent? It's been a while. We're all tied up. Now for the deciding question, who's the bigger get this offseason, Josh Hader or Aaron Nola?
While you have to respect the dominance of Josh Hader, starting pitchers with the postseason pedigree of Aaron Nola just do not come around very often, and he would be the bigger addition for any team this offseason. Nola has shown he can shove in big moments in October and is as reliable a starting option as you are going to get in the big leagues. Overall, I think Nola is the most underrated arm on the market this winter, and teams should not be shy in offering him big cash.
Josh Hader has been one of the most dominant relievers in recent years. There are several teams in the league who could use a lights-out reliever like him, and there have been rumors that the Rangers are going to sign Hader. I feel like this would be an excellent decision by the Rangers that would bolster their already dominant team.
This one is close, but I'm giving the deciding point to Charlie. While Nola had a bit of a down year in the regular season, his postseason performances showed that he's still a great starter. Yes, Hader is an elite reliever, one of the best, but top-end starting pitching is more impactful in my opinion, and Nola is a great rotation option. Congratulations to Charlie for earning the win. That's all we have for the 2023 MLB free agency shot clock. Tyler, over to you.
Hey everyone, I hope you're doing well. Today I need to speak on something that's been heavy on my heart, and it's a story that's been making headlines around the world of sports about a tragedy that occurred during a hockey game. Adam Johnson, a professional ice hockey player, died in a game on October 28th while playing for the Nottingham Panthers in the United Kingdom. He collided with an opposing player, Matt Petgrave, resulting in Petgrave's skate blade cutting Johnson's throat. Later that night, Johnson passed away due to his injuries. It was a tragic incident and it's left the sports world reeling. In the wake of Johnson's death, there's been a lot of talk about neck guards in the hockey world and whether or not they should be mandatory in all levels of the sport. Some people think it's the next logical step to prevent such accidents in the future, but as with any issues, it's not as simple as it seems. While neck guards can protect from fatal injuries like the one Johnson suffered, research shows that they don't completely eliminate the risk of neck lacerations. Some have even voiced fears that certain neck guard designs could increase the risk of injury by deflecting skate blades toward other areas of the body that are unprotected. There's also certain concern that neck guards could restrict a player's movement and visibility, possibly leading to other types of injuries. Reports have stated that organizations like USA Hockey are waiting to mandate neck guards until a design is created that meets a higher standard than what is currently available on the market. Now, what the standard is exactly hasn't been clarified. In the wake of this devastating incident, I need to address the situation surrounding Matt Petgrave, the other player involved in the accident. Recently, according to CBS Sports, Petgrave was charged with manslaughter and has been released on bail. Since the accident, Petgrave has faced an appalling level of racial abuse on social media platforms X and Instagram. He's been the target of racial slurs, and amongst the worst of them, Petgrave was told to go back to Africa. This kind of hate speech is not only disturbing, but is completely unacceptable. And as a black man myself, it is saddening to know that this is still the state of our world. The racial backlash amidst the tragedy of Adam Johnson is a stark reminder of the racial inequalities that still persist in our society and within the world of sports. And it is crucial to remember that sports should never be a platform for spreading hate or discrimination. In the face of such a tragic incident, of course, we need to continue the conversation about player safety in sports, exploring all angles and considering all potential solutions. But we can't forget that we must support each other, stand against hate, and strive for understanding and equality. Mayor Air, back to you.
Thanks, Tyler. That's all we have for this episode of Offsides. If you are interested in joining our team, please email us at offsides@butv10.com.
Also, be sure to follow us on Instagram and X at Offsides10.
On behalf of our entire cast and crew, thanks for watching and have a great night.